हरे कृष्णा। आप सबका स्वागत है एक नई कड़ी में, एक मुलाकात कृष्ण भक्त के साथ। दर्शकों, अक्सर हमारे जीवन में जब हम किसी भी जॉब, एजुकेशन या किसी भी चीज की पराकाष्ठा में पहुंच जाते हैं तो वो हम अपने जीवन में एक सक्सेस के रूप में उसे मानते हैं। कई बार हमारे जीवन का लक्ष्य होता है कि हम अपने जीवन में सबसे ज्यादा पैसे की जॉब करें। कई बार हमारे जीवन में लक्ष्य होता है कि हम उच्चतम एजुकेशन प्राप्त करें। बट क्या हो जब ये सब करते समय आपके जीवन में एक ऐसा बदलाव आए जो कि आपके जीवन को पूरी तरीके से बदल दे। ऐसा ही कुछ हुआ हमारे आज के गेस्ट के साथ। मैं एक छोटी सी इंट्रोडक्शन देना चाहूंगा। आज के हमारे गेस्ट, इनका जन्म एक बहुत ही अच्छे सुप्रसिद्ध टाउन में हुआ जो कि कांचीपुरम, एक बहुत ही स्पिरिचुअल जगह है। वहां पे उनका एक बहुत ही पायस फैमिली में इनका जन्म हुआ। काफी अच्छे थे ये पढ़ाई में, बचपन से ही इन्होंने अपनी सिविल इंजीनियरिंग में मेडल पाया। ये जब अपनी आगे की पढ़ाई करने के लिए आईआईटी मुंबई आए तब इनका परिचय हुआ भक्ति के साथ, भक्तों के साथ। इतने सारे एजुकेशन एक्कोलेड्स लेने के बावजूद भी इन्होंने भक्ति में कुछ ऐसा पाया कि इन्होंने अपना संपूर्ण जीवन भक्ति को समर्पित कर दिया। ये एजुकेशन में वहां रुके नहीं, इन्होंने पीएचडी की, एमएससी की, मास्टर्स किया और आज ये कई सारे सेवाएं कर रहे हैं इस्कॉन के अंदर। ये मुख्य तरह इस्कॉन जूहू के वाइस प्रेसिडेंट हैं। कांग्रीगेशनल प्रीचिंग, यूथ प्रीचिंग, आप इतनी सारी सेवाओं को ये आज अर्पित कर रहे हैं भगवान के चरणों में और अपनी रियल एजुकेशन को भगवान की सेवा में लगा रहे हैं। तो आज हम इनसे जानेंगे कि किस तरीके से इन्होंने अपने जीवन में अपनी हायर एजुकेशन से ऊपर भी एक हायर पर्पस को चुना। तो मैं स्वागत करना चाहूंगा, और स्वागत करने से पहले मैं ये भी बताना चाहूंगा कि ये कांचीपुरम साउथ से हैं। तो आज का हमारा शो थोड़ा इंग्लिश हिंदी में होगा क्योंकि ही इज मोर स्ट्रॉन्ग इन इंग्लिश। तो मैं स्वागत करना चाहूंगा हमारे आज के गेस्ट का, मुकुंद माधव दास जी का। Hare Krishna Prabhuji, welcome to our show, and we are so happy to have you over here. So Prabhuji, first of all, I would like you to tell our audience something about your background, something about your childhood, something about your family.
Hare Krishna. First of all, we'd like to thank ISKCON Desiratory, Hare Krishna TV, and our today's host, Biplav. As he mentioned, I will be speaking mostly in English because I am from South. You all know, in South, especially in Tamil Nadu, they don't teach Hindi. So whatever Hindi, I may speak little bit Hindi, whatever Hindi I learned is from Mumbai only. So about my background, as Biplav mentioned, I was born in the temple town, holy town, Kanchipuram. And Kanchipuram has got a lot of significance of Vaishnavas. In fact, in Kanchipuram, there are 14 Divya Desas out of 106. There are 108 Divya Desas in Sri Sampradaya. So these are considered to be, every Sri Vaishnava is supposed to visit all these 106. 107 and 108 are no Paramapadam and no Tirupal Kadal. So they are in the spiritual world. In the earthly planet, 106. Out of this 106, you can imagine there are 14 Divya Desas are in Kanchipuram. So in that way, it is a very spiritually potent place with a Vaishnava tradition. In fact, Ramanuja Acharya spent all his Grahastha life in Kanchipuram, serving Lord Varadaraj. And Varadaraj, as you know, is a wonderful temple where Lord Varadaraj is made of actually the Atti. Atti Varada means, it is made of the wood. And the Lord lies down in the water for 40 years. And once in 40 years, they actually take the Lord and worship. Recently, in 2019, they actually took the Lord out. And the Lord is worshipped for 40 days like that. In fact, I had darshan of the Lord 40 years back also because it was a wonderful opportunity. And it was not so much crowded like now. Those days, it was a local festival. So Kanchipuram is the place also that Lord Chaitanya visited. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned that how Lord Chaitanya visited Kanchipuram. Shiva Kanchi, Vishnu, there are two Kanchis actually. Vishnu is there, Vishnu Kanchi and Shiva Kanchi. Lord Chaitanya visited both these places and he danced and took prasad and he inspired everyone. So this is the place I was born, and it was a wonderful opportunity for me to get little no spiritual seeds being sown, you can say, because this is the benefit of being born in India. Being born in India means the culture is so much that some or other you get some benefit. So I was born in a place where it is not far away from the birthplace of Vedanta Desika. Vedanta Desika is one of the stalwart acharya in Sri Vaishnavism after Ramanujacharya. His birthplace is just 150 meters from my house actually. And
Wow.
I had a wonderful opportunity of visiting this temple and for playing cricket. Like any other children in India, cricket is the game, right? We go to the temple, play cricket in the evening, and then after that they will have something like, not like our Sandhya Arati, they have some Sandhya Arati, they will distribute prasad. This is the most important aspect of Vaishnavism. So in any temple we go, we also distribute prasad. So this prasad is something very special. So every day we go take prasad, and all these opportunities of taking prasad and visiting the temple, some or other, had so much impact that the spiritual culture is already there. So when I grew up, and I would say that in some form or the other, they helped me to become Krishna conscious.
अमेजिंग. तो दर्शकों, ये एक ऐसे ऐसे शहर और एक ऐसे जगह से आते हैं जहाँ पे कि श्री संप्रदाय के 108 दिव्य देशम में से 106 दिव्य देशम हमारे इस जगत में है, उसमें से 14 दिव्य देश उसी जगह पे हैं. और एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण स्थान था जहाँ पे रहते थे, और वहाँ पे मंदिर में अक्सर क्रिकेट खेला करते थे, जिसकी वजह से इनके, ये ऐसा मानते हैं कि इनकी जो थोड़ी बहुत भक्ति जिसमें जिन्होंने इनको बाद में हेल्प किया, ये वहीं मंदिर में क्रिकेट खेलने की वजह से भी आई और प्रसाद खाने की वजह से भी आई. तो सोच के देखिए कि अगर आप मंदिर में सिर्फ एक बच्चे की तरह अगर प्रसाद लें और थोड़ा खेल कूद भी कर लें तो भी कितना बेनिफिट है. अमेजिंग. तो प्रभु जी, that time you were taking, you were born in a very nice spiritual family. Spirituality was not very new to you, but as I know a little bit about you, when you came to IIT lot after completing your education and graduation, the lower education, what was the turn in your life when you see, because it's very easy sometimes that when you are not introduced to spirituality, something new is there, you'll get attracted to it, but you are born and brought up in a very spiritual environment, and yet you were attracted with something new. So what was that thing which attracted you and you took Krishna consciousness seriously in your life? So I just wanted to know, how did you come to Krishna consciousness and took it very seriously, in spite of the fact that you were having a very spiritual upbringing already?
I think my father actually used to take me to temples.
Okay.
And wherever he visited, he will take me. I used to go with him to different places, and he'll always take to the temple. So going to the temple, and it was a natural thing. But like any other Hindu, just go to the temple, have darshan, and take prasad, and know that it's like a cultural visit kind of thing. But then I always had some spiritual inquisitiveness. In fact, when I was studying engineering, it was the final year. So we went for a tour actually, and we were in Kanyakumari. We went to the south. We are from south, out of the south, southmost,
More
southernmost part.
south.
Yeah. So tourist spot, like a tourist, we went there, and I visited this Vivekananda Kendra. The Vivekananda Rock Memorial is there, and they had a bookstall. You won't believe, I was going through the books there, and I saw Bhagavad Gita, published by Vivekananda Kendra. You can see this.
Yes.
And I purchased this. It was dated I purchased it on 14th February 1986. This is my final year of BTech actually. I got
Wow.
this Gita. It is all actually written in Tamil. The Sanskrit sloka in Tamil, and it is also in the poetry form Tamil. I didn't understand anything. I didn't read also. I just kept it actually. Still, I have this book.
Wow.
86. I had some interest in Bhagavad Gita. I thought that I should get this Bhagavad Gita, but I couldn't make head and tail out of it because nothing was explained. Just in the poetry form, you can't explain anything. So after engineering, I did my masters. Then I came to Bombay, IIT Bombay, to do my research. So in the IIT Bombay, there's a huge library, central library, where books of different disciplines. Engineering itself, there are very many disciplines are there. So I had some in the beginning in the research. You have to do a coursework and you have to do a seminar presentation. So I was fast enough to finish all those things. I had some free time actually. So what I did, I wanted to see the entire library, what are there, because we generally go to our own section like civil engineering. I wanted to go through every other section also, including the general section. So in the general section, there are so many kinds of books. So I was going through different racks, it's a huge library, different racks. Then I came to one point where I saw some bright looking books, golden color books. All set. I said, what is it? All other books were like, dusty and, very old looking. And this is like a very fresh. And when I saw, I was a little bit curious to know what is this book actually. Then when I went and opened one book, that was Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, full set,
Wow.
golden color, because Chaitanya Charitamrita is golden color. It's an American publishing, so it was very nice. Nobody took the book anyway, so it was very fresh. Then I saw down next rack, Srimad Bhagavatam, complete set of Srimad Bhagavatam. Some devotees have gone and they have put and they are remaining there. And I have seen also so many other small books. And the first thing is I wanted to know, I was a little bit curious. I wanted to know what is this book about. Whole set of books are there. Then from my library card, we get library card, 10 books you can take from the library. Research scholars are allowed 10 books. So I took 2 books from my library card. That was Nectar of Devotion and Science of Self-Realization.
Wow.
So these 2 books I brought to my hostel room, staying in the hostel. And I first wanted to read actually Nectar of Devotion. And I opened and I was trying to read. I couldn't make anything out of it again. I said, no, this is not good. This is all bouncer for me. Then I took Science of Self-Realization. That made a lot of sense to me. I started reading. When I read that book, then I thought that, hey, this is something very important information that is being given. I was very much inspired and I was more interested. And I went back to take more and more books from the library. So my turning point, I would say, is Srila Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada's book, when I saw in the library, I didn't meet any devotee. I didn't go to any temple, ISKCON temple. My first contact is the book that was in the IIT library. And I took the book and by reading only, I was convinced. I kept reading more and more books. I would say that is really the turning point in my life.
अमेजिंग. तो दर्शकों, कई बार हमारे जीवन में भगवान आने के कई अपनी तरीके से कई सारे रास्ते बनाते हैं. कई बार प्रसाद के रूप में आते हैं. हम कई सारे गेस्ट को इस शो में मिल चुके हैं, कई बार प्रसाद के रूप में, कई बार किसी व्यक्ति के रूप में. पर यहाँ पे इनके जीवन में भगवान आए लाइब्रेरी में पड़ी हुई एक बुक की वजह से, जिन्होंने 2 बुक ली, नेक्टर ऑफ डिवोशन और साइंस ऑफ सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन, और उस बुक को पढ़ के इनको ये समझा कि हाँ, इसमें कुछ है. तो इनके जीवन में जो भक्ति और जो भक्ति का वो एक स्फूर्ति आई, वो सिर्फ उस 2 बुक्स की वजह से आई, जो उन्होंने पढ़ने की शुरुआत की, लाइब्रेरी से ली, आईआईटी की लाइब्रेरी से, और उसके बाद इनकी भक्ति की शुरुआत हुई. अमेजिंग. सो it's very obvious that you have come to IIT Mumbai for higher education. It's very obvious that as you also said that those books were kept in a corner where nobody used to read it. Now all of a sudden you are a student who is reading such spiritual books. So it's very obvious that you must be having many friends who are having a lot of other inclinations towards not reading such books, having fun in life. IIT Mumbai is also not very less in terms of enjoying your college life or your educational life, though they are very expert in education. So, how did you manage your peer pressure? Many times it so happens that many people want to practice devotional life, devotional service by either doing anything, but they're very scared of of their peer pressure, especially when you are young. It's very difficult to manage that. So how did you manage, especially you were staying in hostel where you're very vulnerable to so many exposures, to so many things? How did you manage to sustain your devotion and yet not be affected by your peer pressures for doing so?
In IIT, I so after I read the books, then there used to be some programs. One of the program in the IIT during the youth festival, they are the festival, their youth festival actually, Mood Indigo. So during that time, there used to be some lectures arranged. So there were some lectures arranged by Bhaktivedanta Institute, where His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj came. His Grace Rasraj Prabhu came. So they had this program. So I went to another, because you can immediately figure out these books and this program are running by the same institution. So when I went to the program, so as I mentioned, I had an interest in Bhagavad Gita. There was a book table, and there in the book table there was a student. He is a PhD student in mathematics. His name is Ravi Juneja. Later he became Janardhan Prabhu. So he was there. So I went and asked him, do you have Bhagavad Gita? He didn't have Bhagavad Gita actually. I was looking for Bhagavad Gita. He didn't have Bhagavad Gita. I said, no, I don't have, but I will bring it from the temple. So he was my good friend in the IIT because he was actually a practicing devotee, which I came to know. So with him, I used to come to the ISKCON temple every weekend actually, every Saturday. So even though in IIT, not that when I used to go to the library and take the book, also the counter fellow will see, hey, who is this person taking this kind of spiritual book like that? Not that anybody was interested to take that. So you rightly said that materialism is so strong. Everybody is so working hard to achieve certain goals there. Precise scholars are working day and night actually. So I was able to sustain by association of devotee in the form of Juneja, and I used to every week come to the temple and spend the overnight here. A Saturday night I will spend and attend the program on Saturday, Mangalarti on Sunday morning, and then I will go back in the afternoon or evening, to IIT. So sustenance comes by means of sincere practice. And in the institute, I used to have the association of Juneja, and in the temple, I used to get, and I kept reading the books. So these all kept me on the track of making progress in Krishna consciousness without being discouraged by the negative association of other students or other people. So I kept on going.
वाह! तो दर्शकों, इनके जीवन में इतनी कम उम्र में भी भक्ति को बढ़ावा दिया संघ ने। जब भी हम भक्तों का संग करते हैं तो वो हमें भक्ति में आगे बढ़ने के लिए बहुत मदद करती है। तो इनके जीवन में भी आईआईटी में रहते हुए भी इनके एक मित्र के साथ और हर हफ्ते मंदिर विजिट करने की वजह से इनके जीवन में थोड़ी भक्ति सस्टेन रह पाई और ये उससे भटके नहीं। अमेजिंग। सो Proji, obviously when you are in IIT, you have come for studies, you have come for higher education, and the biggest fear any parent will have is that their child gets deviated from the curriculum for which they are sent to the institute and start reading such things which are not in the curriculum and eventually affect your studies. So what was the impact of reading these books, practicing Krishna, or I would say starting to practice Krishna consciousness? What was the impact of these all activities on your real studies which you have come for in IIT? And how would you manage both together? Because today also we see two sets of people: one who generally are very afraid of doing any spiritual practices in their age of education because they see that it'll affect their education and their curriculum, and at the other side, people who are doing it, they just leave their curriculum and get completely attracted towards this spiritual life. So how did you manage? Because I know that you later on completed your education also, you were PhD also, so that means you did it well. But how did you manage this both, and what was the impact of this new culture, I would say, or a new practice in your life?
Some or other, I was reading the books. I was very inspired. I also started chanting. And as far as my interest was there, obviously, I was doing research in engineering. So the impact of reading the books was so much so that I was more interested in philosophy. See, there are so many fields of study. You can do in one field or the other field. So my interest became switched from engineering to philosophy. But my interest to do a research did not diminish. That is an important thing. In fact, when my father was very much attached to me, and he was very happy that I was doing higher studies, because he himself was a civil engineer, uh, and from the College of Engineering Gindi, one of the famous college in the south, Chennai. And when I joined engineering, he was very happy. He was telling his friends. Then I went to post graduation. He was more happy. Then I went for a PhD. He was very happy. And then when my interest changed, he was very upset actually, like any other parent would be. And he told me, I told you to go to Bombay to do PhD research. Why are you not doing research? And I said, I'm doing research, instead of engineering, I'm doing in philosophy. I want to do philosophy because reading Bhagavad Gita, after I completed Bhagavad Gita, I said that this life is for Krishna. so, so I got the book from the temple. Juneja gave me, and I read the book back to back from beginning till end. I end, and when I finished the book, I said that this life is for Krishna. So then my interest became, obviously, I am a research scholar. I want to do research. So I said, let me do research in philosophy. So I told my father. He said, why are you not doing this? I said, no, I am going to do research, but I'll do in philosophy. You want PhD? No, I will get a PhD. So that was one of the motivation for me. I wanted to show that I will get a PhD. So from engineering, I switched over to philosophy, and I did a master's degree in philosophy, because you can't do a PhD in philosophy without an MA in philosophy. So balancing is always possible as long as you have the determination to do what you want to get it. So if the determination is there, there is no problem. Those who are weak determined, they may be swayed away this way or that way. So it is quite possible one can balance with their education and spiritual practice. Spiritual practice can continue. Education can also continue. It's quite possible. But in my case, I made a switch from one field to another field, but the interest for study, interest for research was there. But I completed and I obtained my PhD in philosophy. So that was my switching over and balancing my studies and devotion.
अमेजिंग. तो हमेशा जरूरत होती है संतुलन की, एक बैलेंस की हमारे जीवन में. तो इन्होंने भी अपने जीवन में एक बैलेंस मेंटेन किया. पीएचडी तो इन्होंने की, पर इन्होंने फिलॉसफी में, साइकोलॉजी में इन्होंने पीएचडी की, और इससे ही आगे बढ़ते हुए इन्होंने अपने पेरेंट्स को भी, अपने माता पिता को भी खुश रखा, और अपना जो मेन पर्पस था लाइफ का वो भी इन्होंने आगे बढ़ाया. तो प्रभु जी, इट्स very obvious that yes, you did all well in terms of your academics, in terms of your completing your PhD, but the end purpose of doing everything is earning more money and doing some very good, well positioned multi-million dollars package is what the end result of doing all of this in education system is. But I know you now, and I see that you didn't do that. After your completion of your studies, your higher studies, you joined the temple and you were in the service of Lord. So that's the exact fear what parents have nowadays, that if their child gets into spirituality, in the path of spirituality, they would not pursue their career further and would not have a much successful life. So why did you chose, in spite of having such a good educational background and such an amazing opportunity ahead to build your career, you left all of that and joined the temple and joined the services of the temple and still serving over there? So what was that thought, and what was that thought process which inspired you? Because I'm sure before getting introduced to Bhagavad Gita and the spiritual life, you must be having some ambition of doing multi-million dollar jobs or something of that sort, going to abroad and getting set up over there. There might be some mainstream thoughts in you also. So what was that inspired you to do the otherwise and serve your complete life to Krishna consciousness?
In India, everyone thinks that you get a good education, especially if you are on the top, get engineering, if not this, medical, if not this, they have the whole list of things. The criteria is how much position you can get, how much you can earn. So it is very unfortunate that people think that by getting a high paying job, one can be happy. By money, you can get happiness like that. Because generally people get a high salary and they get any facility they want, they can get. So this is a general trend. So in my case, definitely I wanted to get the best. When I did my bachelor's, I was not satisfied with the bachelor's because in my class, it's only a handful of people who went for master's, because after doing 4 years of rigorous engineering, people say that enough education. One step higher itself is difficult. Then after master's, going for PhD is a very difficult thing. For me, money was not the criteria, but I wanted to actually interested in education, teach. I was thinking of going for teaching profession. I was not interested to do a high paying job or anything like that. So my interest was in education. But then when I read Bhagavad Gita, no, I was so inspired. Then I made education as part of my life. I am teaching still, actually. I wanted to teach engineering, but I am teaching Bhagavad Gita. Philosophy I am teaching. In fact, no, I am a PhD guide recognized by the University of Mumbai. So I am professor of philosophy at Bhaktivedanta Vidyapit Research Center, Vada, where many students, including devotees, are students. So I'm guiding them, not only just teaching, I'm guiding also PhD students. So my interest in teaching, research, and guiding did not change. What changed is, instead of engineering, which I thought was very attractive in the beginning, but then when I came to know what is the purpose in life, when the purpose in life is not clear, you just get attracted to anything which is alluring you. But Bhagavad Gita showed you the way. Hey, wait a minute. The real purpose in life is supposed to be something internal, spiritual in nature. Externally, engineering is there, bodily nature is there. That is attractive when you don't know the internal part of it. When you know that you are spirit soul, when you know that you are Atma, then you know that God is there and you know your duty, then your duty also changes. So I shifted from engineering to philosophy, devotion. My original interest of teaching, research, all these things continue. So in this way, I definitely did not find much discouraged that what everyone is running after. But then at the end of the day, happiness does not come from external things. It has to come from within. Internal satisfaction has to be there. You will find many times that so many people say, I don't have job satisfaction. I'm doing this, I'm getting money, not satisfied like that. So that is because there is a difference between what they want to achieve and what they are getting actually. But if one actually thinks about internal satisfaction, then he does certain activity, then even though results may be very different than what others will be getting, still you will have the internal satisfaction that you are doing something good and you are progressing towards what you want to achieve. So in my case, definitely I switched over from the profession where it can be as you said, you could have been highly paying structural consultant or going to America and getting certain things, or even teaching profession also, you can be a professor in the IIT or things like
Yes.
that. But still, I chose because this is giving me more internal satisfaction, which is most important at the end of the day. You may have everything. If you are not internally satisfied, what is the use of that? Whereas something which you do, if it is giving the internal satisfaction to you, happiness to you, that is very important. So that way I'm very happy and going on and on.
अमेजिंग. तो दर्शकों, हमारे जीवन में सक्सेस, सफलता, इन सब चीजों से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट एक बड़े ओहदे और बहुत सारे पैसों के अलावा भी सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट और सबसे ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण हमारे जीवन में होती है एक आंतरिक खुशी, एक सेटिस्फैक्शन. और वो इन्हें मिली पढ़ा के. और हमारी जो आज ये इंस्टीट्यूट में भी पढ़ाते हैं कई सारे जो मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी से एफिलिएटेड जो पीएचडी कर रहे होते हैं फिलॉसफी में, उन स्टूडेंट्स को पढ़ाते हैं. तो हाँ, ये किसी विदेश में जाके कोई बड़ी पोस्ट पे या बड़े जॉब में तो काम नहीं कर रहे, पर आज ये जहाँ पे भी काम कर रहे हैं, जिस भी सेवाओं को अर्जित कर रहे हैं, ये सारी चीज़ें इनको बहुत सैटिस्फैक्शन देती है, बहुत खुशी देती है, जो कि अंततोगत्वा सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है। दैट्स अमेजिंग। बहुत कम लोग होते हैं अपने जीवन में जो इसको परस्यू कर पाते हैं और जो ज़िंदगी को इस नज़रिए से देखते हैं। So, Prabhuji, next I would like to ask that many times it so happens that in recent years we have seen the whole turmoil in the world. There are so many bad things happening. There are so many uncertain things happening. Now you chose your life that you would, serve in a certain way, which was not the conventional way of doing it. But many times in your life also a lot of ups and downs comes. Now recently we have seen so many ups and downs in the world. How does bhakti help us to cope up with such uncertain situations, circumstances, and uncertain future? How did you see in your life that bhakti helped you to keep you positioned in a very sane way in this insane world?
Insane world. See, as long as we are in this world, all this insanity will be there. You may be sane, but around you people may be insane. So you have to be in that situation. If one's goal is clear, what he wants to achieve, irrespective of ups and downs, one can actually manage. Suppose I'll just give an example that if one wants to go from, just an example, from Bombay to Pune, simple example. If his goal is to reach Pune, he may be those who are familiar with Bombay. So you go out outskirts, and then guard section comes. Sometimes there may be road repair, diversion may come. Sometimes speed breakers, sometimes pothole. There may be so many obstacles on the way. But if the person is very determined that his goal is to go to Pune, whatever it may take, he will take the diversion, he will go through the pothole, he will go through the speed break, everything he will do if the goal is very clear. So, if a person's goal is very clear, irrespective of whatever happens, he can actually manage. So those small things, even in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Sidoshna Sukha Dukkada. Sita Ushna will be there, means the heat and cold will be there. Sukha, sometimes happiness, sometimes distress. These are all actually part of our life. Ups and downs are parts of our life. But if we are determined, it is not that when you are in up, you are so elated that you forget about your goal. Not that you reach Lonavala, you become very happy. You say that it is very cool place here, I'll stay here only. You don't decide. Not that when you are having traffic jam, you get discouraged and return back. So whether it is happiness, one doesn't get diverted from his goal. When it distress also, it doesn't get diverted. So this all depends upon how determined he is towards the goal. If a person say that this is my goal, I am going, irrespective of what happens, irrespective, anything may happen. All insane people will come and do insane things to you, but you are not disturbed by that insanity if the determination is strong. So what we have to do is, we have to make our determination strong enough that we are immune to all the insanities of this world. So we are talking about coronavirus, you increase your immunity. No, corona is there, you can't remove that. But you increase your immunity in such a way that you are going to handle that. The same way, our determination in the path of devotional service should be strong enough that we are immune to any other disturbance caused by the insane people of this insane world, so that your journey will be undisturbed and it will be very clear.
अमेजिंग। दर्शकों, अगर हमारे जीवन में कितनी भी उतार चढ़ाव आए, पर अगर हमने निश्चय किया है और दृढ़ निश्चय किया है कि हम इसी पथ पे आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं, तो हम कितने भी उतार चढ़ावों से आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, भले ही दुनिया कैसी भी हो। बट ये दृढ़ निश्चय अपने आप में ही, ये डिटर्मिनेशन अपने आप में ही एक ऐसी शक्ति है जिससे कि आप आगे बढ़ सकते हो। यही इन्हीं की लाइफ में एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ थी जिससे कि आगे बढ़ पाए। सो Toji, you came into a devotional service at a time where generally people don't prefer to, get inclined towards spirituality. People have a preconceived notion that uh, it's appropriate to, I would say it's appropriate and convenient to come into spiritual, anything spiritual, when you are little old in your life, when you have done everything, when you have earned everything, when you have done your education, earned enough, settled in life, and then you do all your spiritual practices if your time, place, and circumstances allow. But you chose to have it very early in your life. I think in your 20s you must have started practicing, or at least being inquisitive about it. So I want to ask, what is a right age of doing bhakti? What is a right age where a person should practice spirituality? Is it that we should wait for a very nice settled life and an old age to come to do so, or we should start it early? So I would like to have your views for our audience on the same. And audience, मैं आप सबसे विनती करूंगा कि अभी थोड़ी ही देर में हम क्वेश्चन आंसर राउंड शुरू करेंगे, तो आप अपने क्वेश्चंस के साथ वेट कर सकते हैं. Audience, I'll request you, you can be ready with your questions. We are going to start with the question answer round in a few minutes, so you can be ready with your questions. Yes, Prajit, what would you like to say about it?
Devotional service is a continuous process. It even continues from one life to another lifetime. Sometimes a person gets spiritually inspired at an earlier age. It is not something accidental. It is actually continuity of his devotional practice in the previous life. Unless somebody has done some spiritual activity, he can't get quickly inspired in the very early age. So in that sense, devotional service is a continuous process over several lifetimes. So right age, if you have, sometimes people say that only when you get retired you can do devotion. But if you see how many retired people are doing devotion, you will hardly find anybody doing it actually. I would say it is only an excuse to not do it. As far as doing devotional service, any age above 5, not me actually, Prahlad Maharaj is telling in Srimad Bhagavatam that Kaumaram acharet pragyo dharman bhagavatani hai. Durlabham manusha janma. See, this human form of life is said that it is very, very rarely achieved. And in this, he rarely, even in Tamil, anybody is knowing Tamil, in Tamil also it is said, Aridu, Aridu, Manirarai, Purattal Aridu. In other languages also it may be there. It is very rare to take birth as a human being. So in the human being, once a person is taken a human birth, Prahlad Maharaj says in Bhagavatam, Kaumaram, at the age of 5, it means it is at the going to the school age of. If somebody is 2 years old, if he is playing, easy excuse, no problem. 4 years old, excuse. 5 years onwards, if possible, whatever way he can perform, he should be given an opportunity. If somebody says, I can only play with no other children and take prasad, that is also okay. So age for performing devotional service, it starts from 5. The parents, if they are devotee, they can give more opportunity. If they are not, and if by means of his own past spiritual activity, if he gets an opportunity, that is good enough also. But any age above 5 is good enough for performing devotional service. In fact, when I read Bhagavad Gita in IIT library, when I read Prabhupada's book, one question I asked is that, how is that I did not learn this before? Why that nobody told me about it? I am from Kanchipuram. I am from the temple city where every other day there is some festivity for some deity or the other. And we go to so many temples. And all these temples I visited, all these places I visited, I lived there. Nobody ever told me about Bhagavad Gita. Nobody ever told me about what is the goal in life. Why is that I did not get it? So it all depends upon how we look at what we are getting. Obviously, if somebody has done devotional service previously, he will be definitely, it is like a wood, if the wood is very wet, it can't catch fire. If the wood is very dry, immediately catches fire. So by means of seasoning over the period of several lifetimes, if somebody perform devotional service, he will be able to catch a fire. Those who are not done, they will say that only at the retirement I will do it like that. So you have to know that they are in the process. But even if they take to devotional side that they know towards the fag end also, they will actually use that credit in the next lifetime. So any time is good enough to practice devotional service. And I would say that whenever a person gets an opportunity, catch it. Don't leave it, because human form is very rare to achieve. When you are getting an opportunity, how can you lose it? So don't lose it. If an opportunity is given, any time is good enough. I would even say that less than 5 also is good enough, not in terms of serious studies, but by taking prasad, by being sitting in the kirtan, that is also good enough. From the very birth, for that matter, a child born in a devotee family goes with the parents to the temple, takes prasadam, sits in the kirtan, sits in the Bhagavatam class. I would say that any time is good enough to perform devotional service. Serious devotional service comes at a little mature stage, but then any time is okay to do devotional service in some form or the other.
वाह। तो दर्शकों, प्रभु का ये मानना है कि हमारे जीवन में सही समय भक्ति करने का है। अगर आप 5 साल से ऊपर हैं, इनफैक्ट अगर आप 5 साल से नीचे भी हैं, तो ग्रंथों का आप अध्ययन तो नहीं कर सकते, बट किसी भी तरीके से प्रसाद लेके, कीर्तन करके, इत्यादि करके आप भक्ति कितनी भी एज से शुरू कर सकते हैं। इनफैक्ट प्रहलाद महाराज भी यही कहते हैं कि हमें बचपन से ही भक्ति करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि प्रभुपाद भी कहा करते थे कि बड़े होके जितने आप आगे बढ़ते जाते हैं, आप भक्ति में इतनी आसानी से आप चीज़ों को फॉलो नहीं कर पाते। अगर आप बचपन से ही इस चीज़ को करेंगे तो ये काफ़ी आसान हो जाएगा। बट घबराइए मत, अगर आपने अभी तक शुरू नहीं किया है तो आप अभी भी शुरू कर सकते हैं। ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आपने 5 साल से इसे शुरू नहीं किया तो भक्ति अब आप अपना नहीं सकते। आप बिल्कुल अपना सकते हैं। प्रभु जी की तरह आपको भी जीवन में नहीं लगना चाहिए कि मुझे किसी ने भगवत गीता के बारे में क्यों नहीं बताया। तो आज इस शो के माध्यम से अगर आप इस शो को देख रहे हैं तो आपके जीवन में आप ये तो ज़रूर समझ आ गया होगा कि ये बहुत 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 इम्पॉर्टेंट है हमारी लाइफ के लिए आगे बढ़ने के लिए। सो अब हम इस प्रश्न के बाद बढ़ेंगे हमारे क्वेश्चन आंसर राउंड की तरफ। प्रभु जी, लास्ट क्वेश्चन आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क, आफ्टर सो मेनी इयर्स ऑफ सर्विंग, आफ्टर सो मेनी इयर्स ऑफ service you have given, what are the services do you render in the temple, or what are the services which you are currently involved in? I would like you to tell our audience about how do you manage your skills which you have got with such educational accolades. How do you serve that in the service of the Lord?
Once one person met and he said, "You did engineering and you are not doing anything for engineering field." I said, "You acquire knowledge and you use that knowledge for different services." So I am using whatever I studied in a way that will be useful for the temple. So I had gone through several services. I used to do scientific research, Bhaktivedanta Institute preaching, and I used to do youth preaching. I used to go to colleges and give lecture. Even now I give, but not much. Previously I used to do a lot of lectures because I am interested in education. So lectures and preaching in congregation and administration, and I am also part of several services around India. It's not just only local thing. In Juhu, Mumbai, I am there. So I'm here as a vice president. I'm taking care of several aspects of administration, and I also deal with to some extent, property matters and kind of legal things also. Several things actually, because it's like Prabhupada said, you have to be all-rounder, so all-round work services one can do. I am also involved in, as a all India body called ISKCON Bharat Advisory Council. It consists of several leaders from around India. So I am also the chairperson there, and I am also involved in, systems, setting systems in all India level, like standardization of receipts. So we are supplying receipts to all over India ISKCON temples. So those things happen from here. So in that way, I am involved in several services locally also, and also at the national level. And I am also doing certain services global level also as a global duty officer for the GBC. I am also setting up fundraising strategies for various temples. So depending upon the necessity and availability, keeping on rendering some service in different way. Because Srimad Bhagavatam says, which Prabhupada emphasizes, that whatever talent one has got, if he engages in service of Krishna, that is like glorification of Krishna. Idamni pumsa tapasas srutasya suktasya shuktasya sabuddhi dattayo avichyatotta kavibir nirupidam yad uttama sloka gunanu varnanam. Any expertise. Somebody may be a poet, uses the poetry in service of Krishna. Somebody is a scholar, use that scholarship in service of Krishna. Somebody is a physicist, physics in service of Krishna. Any talent, so many people may have different varieties of talents. If those talents are used in service of Krishna, it is actually Uttama Sloka Gunandvan. It is actually glorification of the Supreme Lord. So in that way, whatever talents and whatever service opportunity comes, we engage. So by engaging that, we are keeping ourselves busy and we are also making our life meaningful by getting the internal satisfaction that I am doing something for Krishna. So in that way, different people may have different talents. You find out what is the best in you, and if you are going to offer that best in you to Krishna, and Krishna will be pleased and he will be blessed, and he can actually make progress in Krishna consciousness.
अमेजिंग। दर्शकों, हमारे जीवन में जो भी हमें गुण या जो भी हम टैलेंट अर्जित करते हैं, हमारे जो भी हमारे अंदर किसी भी चीज़ का हुनर होता है, अगर वो हम भगवान की सेवा में लगाते हैं तो वो सही मायने में भगवान की गुणगान करने जैसा होता है, भगवान की प्रशंसा करने जैसा होता है। यही भागवत हमें सिखाती है। तुम्हारे जीवन में हम कहीं से भी आते हो, हमारे पास जो भी हो, समय हो, हमारा टैलेंट हो, जो भी हमारे जीवन में हम भगवान को अर्जित करते हैं, भगवान उसे भक्त की एक प्रस्तुति की तरह लेते हैं और उसका फल उस भक्त को और भक्ति से मिलता है और एक इनर सेटिस्फैक्शन से मिलता है, जो कि हमारे जीवन में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। अमेजिंग, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर शेयरिंग दैट। और इसी के साथ हम बढ़ेंगे हमारे क्वेश्चन आंसर राउंड की तरफ। दर्शकों, अब समय आ गया है कि आप अपने प्रश्नों को हमारे लाइव चैट में डाल सकते हैं। हम आप सबके प्रश्नों को क्रमांक अनुसार लेंगे। मैं आप सबसे विनंती करता हूं कि आप बार बार अपने क्वेश्चंस को हमारे लाइव चैट में ना डालिए। हम क्रमांक अनुसार ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्वेश्चन लेने की पूरी कोशिश करेंगे। तो हमारा पहला प्रश्न हमारे ऑडियंस की तरफ से आ रहा है। तनुष जी की तरफ से ये जानना चाहते हैं, हमें सारे पुराण मानने चाहिए क्या? शुड वी अग्री टू व्हाट इज रिटन इन ऑल द पुरान्स? तनुष वांट्स टू नो इट।
Puranas, all Vedic literature is part of the Vedic literatures. Puranas, Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Upanishads, Vedanta, these are all the entire body of Vedic knowledge, scriptural knowledge. So these also have the origin in Krishna. So Puranas also, yes, we have to accept the authority of Purana. But there are Puranas, different Puranas are there. Some are in the mode of goodness, some are in the mode of patience, some are for the people in the mode of ignorance. So different Puranas may, sometimes there will be a difference in, what is being said. So you'll have to know the context, on what context different things are said. In general, yes, but then there has to be a reconciliation if there is a difference, because it is said that in Mahabharata it is said, Tarko apratishta srutaya vibhinna nasav rishireva mattam na binnam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya mahajano yena kataso pantaha. What it means is, by means of argument, Tarko apatrishta, you can't establish the truth by means of arguments. For every argument, there will be a counter argument. Shrutaya vibhinna, very important thing. Shruti is vibhinna. There are variegated instructions in Shruti. So in one Purana, there may be one instruction, another Purana, there may be another instruction. So one has to know how to reconcile those instructions, because it is said in a context, it's a context based, for what audience, for whom it is said, and what purpose it is said, like that. So Purana in general, yes, you have to accept, but you have to accept based upon Mahajano Yena Katasop. There are great devotees who have understood the overall context and who can place exactly. You will have to follow their footsteps in accepting that. So if you take a Purana, if it says something, you accept the authority. In our case, Srila Prabhupada, he is giving the overall view of what is exactly to be done. So in that way, by following the authority of a great devotee who has understood the purpose of all the Puranas, one can actually understand the real meaning each Purana is conveying. So yes, the question is whether you can accept it. Yes, you have to accept it. But if there's a discrepancy, you are finding the difference between this and that, it has to be reconciled by means of some learned person who actually understand the overall purpose. Then that is one Mahajana. By Mahajana, following Mahajana, one can understand the real purpose.
तो हम जो भी अपने शास्त्रों में पढ़ते हैं, पुराण में पढ़ते हैं, ये सब चीजें हमें समझनी चाहिए। बट एक ऐसे व्यक्ति सानिध्य में जो इन सब चीजों को समझ चुका है, कई बार हम इन चीजों को समझ के वैसा अपनी लाइफ में अप्लाई नहीं कर सकते। तो किसी व्यक्ति विशेष जो इन चीजों को समझ सकते हैं, उनके सानिध्य में जब हम इन चीजों को समझते हैं, उनके पथ पे चलते हैं, तो हम पुराण और वैदिक स्क्रिप्चर्स को फॉलो कर सकते हैं। तो हम बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट प्रश्न की तरफ। हमारा नेक्स्ट प्रश्न आ रहा है नीलू चौधरी जी की तरफ से। पूछते हैं कि आई एम अ फिजिक्स टीचर, हाउ कैन आई ग्लोरीफाई द लॉर्ड एंड सर्व विद माय प्रोफेशन। तो ये जानना चाहते हैं कि ये एक फिजिक्स के टीचर हैं, ये अपने प्रोफेशन से भगवान की सेवा किस तरह से कर सकती हैं।
Good. We have a physics scientist. We have a science student, a science teacher. Yes, science teacher is there. So physics talks about the how the material nature, the material elements behave. So much research is going on. How the elements came into existence. If you go into atomic physics, then you go into astrophysics, the galaxies and quasars, and we know so many things are there. How they came into existence by Big Bang or something like that. There are so many theories going around. So as a physics teacher, you can see that behind the physical laws are there, laws are working. Newton's law was there before. Newton came and said that, discovered it, okay, Newton's law. But then behind all these laws, is there some underlying reality? If the law today is working, tomorrow is not going to work. That cannot be law. But there are some constants. There are some constants in the world. The speed of light is constant. It doesn't change. So many constants are there. In physics, you study so many things. All these things are working so harmoniously. Is there anything behind underlying reality which is supporting? They say something which is inquisitiveness. One should be inquisitive and try to see. So if you see that something physically cannot be explained, there is some higher hand is required. And if you are able to somehow or other justify that, unless there is a higher hand, spiritual hand, somebody is doing about it, it is not possible. And you try to prove that this higher hand is possible, then that is a service a physicist can do actually. It is possible. A chemist, whether chemistry has given rise to life or not, if you prove that it cannot, that itself is good. If you prove from physics that without the hand of some higher reality, without the hand of God, this is not possible, that itself is one step. You don't have to prove everything. Even one step, if you say that all these laws, they cannot work unless there is an higher hand. If you are convinced, if you are trying to tell, and if you are trying to pursue more in that direction, that itself also is a good enough to give inquisitiveness towards searching for some higher reality. That will help. And slowly, when they come to know more and more, then they can become more convinced about existence. In the first step, we can't get into proving that God is behind there. But one step. Like that, many steps, then it will obviously come. So any one step is also good enough. Even creating a little bit inquisitiveness in a person, that all the physical laws are there, that is fine, they are working. But there has to be some other underlying reality. Without that, these laws cannot work also. This is itself a good step. So if you can convince yourself and you are going to convince others, that is a good step towards a spiritual understanding.
Amazing. तो अगर आप अपने विद्यार्थियों को या जो भी आपसे सीखते हैं, अगर आप उनको सिर्फ ये बता सकें कि फिजिक्स की लॉज के पीछे कुछ ना कुछ तो ऐसा होगा जिनकी वजह से ये लॉज काम करती हैं, तो उसी से हम किसी को भी ये बता सकते हैं कि इन सब के पीछे, फिजिक्स के पीछे आती है स्पिरिचुअलिटी, हमारे भगवान की सही तत्व आते हैं जो कि इन सब चीज़ों को चलाते हैं, और उससे हम अपनी सेवा को अर्जित कर सकते हैं भगवान को। तो बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ। हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है डॉक्टर मदन लाल शर्मा जी की तरफ से। ये पूछते हैं कि आई थिंक पेशेंस, ऑनेस्टी एंड ट्रुथ इज द ओनली पाथवे रीच सदगुरु और गॉड, एम आई राइट। तो ये जानना चाहते हैं कि पेशेंस, ऑनेस्टी और ट्रुथ से ही मतलब अगर हम मैं इसका हिंदी तात्पर्य नहीं कर पाऊंगा, माफ कीजिएगा, अगर हम सच्चाई, हमेशा सच बोलें, अगर हमें थोड़ी धैर्य रहे, तो हम भगवान तक पहुंच सकेंगे। क्या ये सही है?
Patience, honesty, truthfulness, ethics, morality, these are all good qualities. These are all in the mode of goodness. So These are all required. There are so many other qualities are also there. These are all good qualities one should cultivate, because reaching God means there are several steps. So these are all some of the steps. So there are three modes: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So in the mode of ignorance, people don't care for anything, do all kinds of sinful activities, etc. Mode of passion, in that also, people are very passionate towards achieving some material happiness. Mode of goodness, people are very peaceful, calm, patient, honest, and truthful. All these things are good qualities. But then, this is necessary, but I would not say sufficient. Necessary condition and sufficient condition is there. This is necessary, but the sufficient condition is there. You have to go one step higher than this goodness also. Traigunya Vishayo Veda Nistraigunyo Bhava Arjuna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, these three gunas are there, but you have to go above the three gunas also, and that above three guna is pure goodness, Visuddha Sattva, spiritual. So for a person whose goal is to reach God, reach sadhguru, so he has to transcend these three modes also. Yes, patience, all these things are required, that is good enough, but more than that, some spiritual dimension should be added also. Without adding a spiritual dimension, you can't achieve God, you can't achieve Guru. So I agree that these are required, but something more than that is required to achieve spiritual perfection.
अमेजिंग. तो हमें अपने तीन जो हमारे गुण होते हैं, सत्व, तमस और राजसिक, ये जो गुण होते हैं, इससे हम जो मोड ऑफ गुडनेस, मोड ऑफ पैशन और मोड ऑफ इग्नोरेंस, इससे जब हम ऊपर आते हैं तो ही हम भक्ति में आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. तो ये सारी चीज़ें मोड ऑफ गुडनेस तक ठीक है, बट भक्ति में जाने के लिए इससे ज़्यादा ज़रूरत होती है. तो हमें थोड़ा इससे आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा, बट ये सब अपनी जगहों पे बिल्कुल ज़रूरत है, बट इससे भक्ति के लिए आगे बढ़ने के लिए इससे थोड़ी ज़्यादा की ज़रूरत है. तो बढ़ेंगे अपने नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ. हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है आयुष्मान मिश्रा जी की तरफ से. ये पूछते हैं कि क्या हमें अभी भी भौतिकवादी जीवन में रह सकते हैं और साथ ही में अपनी भक्ति को पूर्ण रूप से ग्रहण कर सकते हैं, या इसका सीधा सीधा अनुपातित नहीं है. तो ये जानना चाहते हैं कि क्या, so he wants to know that if you want to succeed in spiritual life, can we equally succeed in our material life also, or it is directly proportional that if you want to succeed in spiritual life, you'd have to not succeed in your material life, and vice versa. So is it relatable, or is it inversely proportional?
In the beginning stage, we are doing some material activities. When the spiritual activities added, one can actually make a balance and keep going. And definitely one can be very, successful in both. It's not that you cannot be. A successful business can be a successful spiritualist. But the symptom of a person who is doing spiritual life more successfully means slowly it gets more and more involved in spiritual activity. The material activity becomes, like an assisting him in his spiritual progress. That is sign of advancement. So if you ask, in the end stage also I can be doing both, because doing both means if your interest is still in the material thing and achieving some material accomplishment, etc., but then accordingly there will be less. See, it is like this. Attentiveness means if you are attentive on one thing, you cannot be attentive on another thing 100%. When we are saying that when you are driving, you don't speak on mobile phone, what does that actually mean? Your attention should be in driving, not in the mobile phone. If you are on the mobile phone, your attention will be diverted. That's why it is said that no, you are driving, you keep your mobile phone away. The same way, if one wants to achieve spiritual perfection 100%, its attention has to be 100% there also. But then, in the beginning stages, if he is to make his livelihood keep going, if he is doing both together, fine, there can be a balance. But if one wants 100% perfection, then obviously you'll have to give more and more effort in spiritual activity also. So in fact, by doing that spiritual activity, he'll be naturally inclined in doing spiritual only, but spiritual activity that the material activity become like a very simple and insignificant for him. So it depends upon how much taste he is getting. The more and more taste, more and more involvement comes, naturally there will be distaste for other things. So it has to develop naturally. It cannot be forced upon. One cannot do it artificially. If one does artificially, then there will be no satisfaction from within. So one has to. There is no standard rule here. Case to case, it has to be applied. So depending upon how one is getting more and more interest in Krishna consciousness, slowly, he can actually little bit detached from the material activity also. But for a complete perfection, complete attention should be on spiritual activity. That is the bottom line.
तो ये अलग अलग व्यक्ति के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है कि किस तरीके से इस चीज़ को हम अपना सकते हैं. बट एक चीज़ बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आप जिस चीज़ पे ध्यान देते हैं उसी चीज़ के ऊपर आप आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. बट ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है कि हम इसको व्यक्तिगत तरीके से इसको समझें कि किस समय पे हमें भौतिक चीज़ों में आगे बढ़ना है और किस समय पे हमें आध्यात्मिक चीज़ों पे ध्यान देना है. तो ये किसी गाइड के अंडर अगर आप करेंगे तो आपको इसका एक अच्छा उदाहरण और एक अच्छा तरीका आपके जीवन के हिसाब से मिल सकता है. तो हम बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ. हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है डॉक्टर कुशल गंगवानी जी की तरफ से. तो ये जानना चाहते हैं कि प्रभु जी, हाउ कैन अ हाईली qualified materially person like you be such a humble and simple devotee? So he wants to understand, Prabhuji, that how have you allowed yourself to be humble and a simple devotee in spite of being such materially qualified, which is not very usual to see in this material world?
I don't know how much I can call myself humble. We are working on it. So I won't call it I am humble. It is a question of everybody has to work on that. So it is artificially things cannot be done. Things have to come naturally. So everyone should try their best to dedicate their best capabilities in service of Krishna, and other things will follow. So for me, I suddenly felt that, because as I already said, when I was I just read I completed I read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad Gita as it is. Even though I was interested in Bhagavad Gita earlier also as it is, I said that this life is for Krishna. That became the foundation. Everything else is the detail. So anything and everything, if you are going to do it for Krishna, once that is clear, all other qualities, not that everybody, I don't claim to be humble, by the way. So working on it, we'll work on it. And definitely if we are sincere and serious, if our purpose is clear, what is the purpose that we have come for? If the purpose is clear, all other things will follow. So we try working on it and try to get the qualities required to progress in Krishna consciousness.
Amazing. तो दर्शकों, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि हम अपने जीवन में ये समझ सके कि ये जीवन भगवान श्री कृष्ण के लिए है. अगर हम यही समझ जाएं तो हमारे जीवन में बाकी सब जो भी क्वालिटीज हैं वो अपने आप कृष्ण भगवान पूर्ण कर देते हैं. जैसे कि कृष्ण स्वयं भगवद गीता में भी कहते हैं कि जो मेरा भक्त होता है उसके पास जो होता है मैं उसे बचाता हूँ, और जो उसके पास नहीं होता मैं उसे प्रोवाइड करता हूँ. तो इसी तरीके से जब हम कृष्ण भगवान की भक्ति में लगते हैं तो हमें वो सब मिल जाता है जो हमारे पास नहीं है. जो हमारे पास होता है वो बढ़ चुका है. अमेजिंग. बस हमें यही समझना है कि ये जीवन कृष्ण भगवान की भक्ति के लिए है पूर्णतः से. तो हम बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ. हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है द ऑल अट्रैक्टिव कृष्णा जी की तरफ से. ही सेज, what should one do if someone falls down and his bhakti gets destroyed? What should someone do to recover? So ये जानना चाहते हैं कि कोई भक्ति में अग्रसर नहीं हो पा रहा है, बहुत नीचे चला गया है, तो किस तरीके से हम भक्ति में आगे बढ़ सकते हैं और वापस अपनी भक्ति को थोड़ा अच्छे स्टैंडर्ड पे ला सकते हैं.
Even if one considers that he has fallen down, still he should continue the practice of Krishna consciousness. Sincerely and seriously, one should repent for it that he is not able to keep up the standard, but he should not leave chanting the holy names. Chanting the holy names is so important that if he sincerely chants praying to Krishna, then definitely he can come back. There is nothing that cannot help a devotee to come back to Krishna consciousness. So one should, as much as possible, I don't know what kind of fall down. Suppose somebody used to chant 16 rounds, now is chanting only come to 8 rounds. If that is considered a fall down, yes, you should try your best to, chant more. And if somebody thinks that he has broken the regulative principle, that is a fall down, yes, once it is done, then repent for it and then don't do it again, and more serious. So one has to pursue Krishna consciousness more seriously, and by doing so, he can come back. There is nothing, no other process. It is in general karma kanda. If you do some mistake, you have to do something, atonement, and then come back. Here, atonement itself is in the part of the process itself. So one sincerely repents and chants the holy names very seriously, attentively, offenseless. If you committed some offense, then repent for that offense and not commit it, and then chant more. Holy name is the only thing that can save. So one should chant the holy name more and more so that he can come back to Krishna consciousness and he can recover.
अमेजिंग। तो अगर आप भगवान के नाम लेंगे और इस चीज का पश्चाताप करेंगे जो कि आपने गलती की है, तो उससे सिर्फ भगवान के नाम लेने मात्र से ही आपका जो भी पश्चाताप है वो हो सकता है, और आप फिर से अपने जीवन में उसी भक्ति के स्तर पे वापस आ सकते हैं जिससे कि आपको ऐसा रियलाइज होता है कि जिससे कि आप थोड़े नीचे चले गए थे। तो बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम अपनी उस गलती को समझ के पश्चाताप करें और भगवान के नाम की शक्ति से, बल से वापस अपनी भक्ति को आगे ले जाएं। तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है कि हम इस चीज़ में डिप्रेस ना हो, हम इस चीज़ में उदासीन ना हो, क्योंकि भक्ति में उतार चढ़ाव चलता रहता है। बस एक चीज़ हमेशा कॉमन रहनी चाहिए, भगवान का नाम। अगर हम भगवान का नाम ले रहे हैं तो हमें वो बल मिलता है कि हम जिससे आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। तो हम बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ। हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है तेजस्वी थापा जी की तरफ से। ये पूछना चाहती हैं, इफ अ कृष्ण डिवोटी हु नोज दैट वी मस्ट कीप एकादशी फास्टिंग एंड नो एकादशी इज इंपॉर्टेंस बट ऑल्सो ही डज नॉट कीप फास्टिंग, देन क्या उस पर्सन को पाप लगेगा? So if a person knows the importance of Ekadashi and still doesn't keep Ekadashi, will he be suffering with some sins or reactions for doing the same?
If the Krishna who knows he must keep
Who knows the
Ekadashi.
importance of fasting on Ekadashi and still doesn't keep the fasting, will he be having some karmic reactions, some sinful reactions, or some reactions?
If a person knows, then not keeping, yes, definitely. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told his own mother he should keep Ekadasi, not eating grains. So if the person knows, and he knows the importance, he knows that he should keep Ekadasi, but then he goes eating grains, suddenly he will get. Why he will not get? Why he should not get anyway? He will get. There will be definitely karmic reaction. He will get a sinful, yes, he will get. He will get. Unknowingly, somebody did not know and he was not keeping, that is understandable. But somebody knows. Today is Ekadasi. Today I should be fasting from grain, but still I don't fast. Definitely, it will actually have negative impact on your spiritual progress. In your spiritual progress, it will affect your spiritual progress. So if somebody is very sincere and serious in making progress, after knowing Ekadashi is important, he should fast. He should fast from the grains. He should in fact fast from everything actually. Nirjala Ekadashi also he can do. So in any case, at least not taking grains is important. A devotee knowing that taking grains will give some sinful reaction, if he takes it, definitely he will get sinful reaction and it will affect his progress in Krishna consciousness.
Amazing. तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि अगर आप जानते हुए ये गलती कर रहे हैं कि आप एकादशी का फास्टिंग नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, तो इसका कार्मिक रिएक्शन या इसका पाप कह सकते हैं, सिंफुल रिएक्शन जरूर लगेगा, क्योंकि हमें पता होते हुए भी हम इस चीज को फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो हम बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ। हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है सुभाष चंद्र सुवेदी जी की तरफ से। पूछते हैं कि 5 पांडव और द्रौपदी स्वर्ग क्यों गए और गोलोक वृंदावन में क्यों नहीं? भगवान कृष्ण के परम भक्त थे, तो जानना चाहते हैं कि why did the 5 Pandavas and Draupadi went to heavenly planets and not Golok Vrindavan, whereas they were the utmost prime devotees of Lord Krishna?
So they were Kshatriyas, this is on the way. For them, they are actually close associates of Lord Krishna. So this is only the in-between stop. Don't think that's the final destination for them. So if you are going to Pune, if you are going through Navi Mumbai is not your stop actually. You are going through. They are all very close devotees of Krishna. Their destination is Golak Vrindavan. They go to Golak Vrindavan on the way. This is the in-between break journey. Then they will go back.
तो 5 पांडव और द्रौपदी जरूर गोलोक वृंदावन गए, बस ये उनका एक ऑन द वे एक स्टॉप था। तो ऐसा मत समझिए कि भगवान के भक्त होते हुए भी आप स्वर्ग तक जाएंगे और भगवान के धाम को प्राप्त नहीं करेंगे, क्योंकि भगवान ने स्वयं कहा है कि जो भी उनकी भक्ति करता है वो उनके धाम को जरूर प्राप्त करता है। तो हम बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ। हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है माई लिटिल वर्ल्ड जी की तरफ से। ये पूछते कि मैं कृष्ण भक्ति कैसे करूं, मेरा मन बहुत चंचल है। हाउ डू आई प्रैक्टिस कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस, माई माइंड इज वेरी फ्लिकरिंग।
It is not only your mind, even Arjuna's mind was flickering. Sanchalam hi mana Krishna. We are in Kali Yuga now. Even 5,000 years ago, associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna said, Sanchalam hi, my mind is flickering. So it is nothing new about it. But bhakti, doing bhakti means you chant the holy names very sincerely and try to do as attentively as possible. Mind may be trying to go here and there. Suppose while chanting also, if you are chanting very quietly, mind will be more active. Then you chant little loudly, the mind will become more pacified and you are able to hear, then mind can be controlled. So in this way, chanting sincerely, attentively, offenselessly is the only way. Mind, don't worry about the mind. You mind your chanting. Don't mind your mind. Mind ko side mein rakh dena. You think about your chanting nicely. How nicely I can chant. By chanting the names, mind automatically come under the control and it will become used to your chanting and then it will be purified also. So your devotion can happen in spite of your chanchal mind is that you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This mantra you chant sincerely, attentively and offenselessly, everything will be taken care.
Amazing. तो आप अपने मन का इतनी फिक्र मत कीजिए, क्योंकि अर्जुन भी भगवान से स्वयं कहते हैं कि उनका मन बहुत चंचल है और वो मन को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते। तो हमें अपने मन पे ज़्यादा फिक्र नहीं करनी चाहिए, बस हमें अपने भगवान के नाम हम किस तरह से ले रहे हैं, हमारी चैंटिंग पे थोड़ा ध्यान देना चाहिए। मन का काम है यहाँ वहाँ जाना, मन का काम है मंकी बनना, कि वो यहाँ से वहाँ उछलता रहेगा। तो बस हमें ध्यान देना है अपनी भक्ति के ऊपर धीरे धीरे। और कृष्णा का जवाब भी यही होता है कि अभ्यास से और अभ्यास करते करते ये सब चीज़ों से हम आगे बढ़ सकते हैं और वैराग्य से हम आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। अभ्यास एंड वैराग्य वॉज द आंसर ऑफ कृष्णा। यही कृष्णा ने आंसर दिया था कि आप इन दो चीज़ों से अपने मन को कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं। तो बस यही चीज़ें हमें लगी रहनी है, अभ्यास करते रहना है। मन जाएगा उसे वापस लेके आना है, मन जाएगा उसे वापस लेके आना है। मन पे ज़्यादा ध्यान नहीं देना है, हमारे जप पे ध्यान देना है। तो हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ। हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है विशाल नंदा जी की तरफ से। ये जानना चाहते हैं, आई एम फाइनेंशियली वीक, हाउ टू बी फाइनेंशियली सक्सेसफुल क्विकली, एंड वंस आई बी सक्सेसफुल, सो हाउ टू यूज मनी इन स्पिरिचुअलिटी, व्हाट इज द बेस्ट यूज ऑफ मनी इन दिस कलयुग। सो ये आर्थिक रूप से इतने सफल नहीं हैं, जानना चाहते हैं कि आर्थिक रूप से सफल किस तरह से हो सकते हैं, और एक बार आर्थिक रूप से सफल हो जाए तो अपनी धन को ये भगवान की सेवा में किस तरह से अर्पित कर सकते हैं, और इस कलयुग में अपने धन का सबसे अच्छा प्रयोग करने का तरीका क्या है।
If you are financially weak and you want to be successful quickly, so there is no shortcut methods. So you try sincerely and seriously, and results Krishna will send you, and whatever results are coming, one should be happy. We are not here to give some financial consultancy. So you work hard and what you deserve, Krishna will definitely give you. And most important thing is that one should be happy with what comes naturally. The satisfaction is very subjective. A person can be very satisfied with little earning also. A person can be dissatisfied with having the whole world also. So there is no standard rule that how much will make a person satisfied. So you work hard, put your all your effort, don't be lazy, and don't put your all your effort, and whatever comes as a result, be happy with that. And with whatever came legitimately to you, out of that, how to engage some portion of it in service of Krishna. That is an important thing. It is not that somebody has to be a very rich person to actually engage. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we read that Kolavecha Sridhar, he was just selling some banana leaf cups. It was not a big corporate business, but whatever money he was getting little bit, still he was engaging 50% of it in service of Ganga Mata. So you work hard, put all your effort. With that effort, whatever result you are getting, be happy with that. There's no quick fix solution here. With that, whatever you have got, you try to also engage something in service of Krishna, whatever is possible. When you do that, when Krishna is pleased, don't worry, Krishna will give you more. But then don't expect when Krishna will give, but whenever required, when Krishna is convinced that you are okay, then he will give. But you do your duty, Krishna will do his duty. So our suggestion is that you work hard, get your finance, whatever finance comes, you be happy, and within that happiness, make sure that you are engaging certain portion in service of Krishna. That way, you will get more and more, and you will be happy, and Krishna will bless you.
तो हमें ये नहीं सोचना चाहिए कि जब हम बहुत सक्सेसफुल हो जाएंगे, जब हमारे पास बहुत पैसे होंगे, तब हम भगवान की सेवा करेंगे. आज हम जहाँ हैं, जिस स्थान में हैं, जिस भी आर्थिक पोजीशन पे हैं, जितना भी हो सके, जैसे इन्होंने एग्जाम्पल दिया अभी प्रभु जी ने कि कोलावेचा श्रीधर केले के बने हुए पत्तों से बने हुए द्रोण को भगवान को अर्पित करते थे, वो उससे भी खुश थे. हम सुदामा के एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं, एक चावल के दाने से भगवान खुश हो जाते हैं. तो हमारे पैसे कितने हैं हमारे पास, उससे भगवान खुश नहीं होते. उसके पीछे भाव क्या है, क्योंकि भगवान भावग्राही कृष्णा बोलते हैं उन्हें. भाव क्या है उसको देखते हैं. अगर हम अपने भाव से थोड़ा सा भी उन्हें अर्पित कर पाए तो भगवान इतना देते हैं कि हमारे हाथ कम पड़ जाएंगे. बस हमें अपने उस भाव को जगाना है. जितना भी हमारे पास है, जितना भी हमसे हो सके, हमें भगवान की सेवा में लगाना है और लगे रहना है. भगवान कभी भी अपने भक्तों का जो उनको चाहिए होता है उसको ना दें, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता है. बट सही समय आने पे भगवान हमें सब कुछ देते हैं जो हमारे लिए, हमारी भक्ति के लिए और हमारे जीवन के लिए अनुकूल हो. तो हम बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ. हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है y is equal to mx plus c वाला जी की तरफ से. तो ये जानना चाहते हैं, I am in depression due to bad health. Can chanting be effective for my health? ये जानना चाहते हैं कि बहुत उदास हैं अपनी बुरी सेहत की वजह से, तो क्या भगवान का नाम जपने से इनकी सेहत ठीक हो सकती है?
If a person is having, it is not that chanting will have exactly direct effect on your health, in the sense that suppose I have a disease, chanting is actually the overall medicine for the entire spiritual nature, and body is part of it. So if you ask me exactly if I by chant if my disease will get cured, that guarantee cannot be given, depends upon what disease it is. But one thing that can be said very clearly is that by chanting you get the mental strength. Even if there is a pain due to the disease, your pain will not be much mattering to you, because your absorption is in chanting. So yes, you should do chanting, and by chanting you actually make the spiritual advancement. By making the spiritual advancement, the disease's effect on you will be minimized. You will not be affected by, like, Sitoshna Sukha Dukkata. Even the different difficulties may come, you don't get affected by it. You get the immunity to withstand the depression that you are telling, sometimes when the depression is there, people do several untoward things. But if a person is chanting, even if there's a difficulty, he will actually have some confidence that he should progress, he should still go further. So in that way, yes, chanting will be effective, but not very one-to-one correspondence between your health and chanting, but it will give definitely the strength, spiritual strength to you, so that you will be able to overcome. You'll be able to overcome the effect of the disease. Plus, definitely, the spiritual nature can have some effect on the body, and you can definitely get some benefit also. Yes, chanting will help. You can do that.
So problems are inevitable, but suffering is optional. So when we do chanting, we get to that stage of consciousness where we don't suffer because we get that consciousness elevated. तो अगर हमारे जीवन में किसी भी तरह की प्रॉब्लम है, हम उससे तो उभर नहीं सकते, बट उस प्रॉब्लम में हमें किस तरह से रिएक्ट करना है, ये हमें भक्ति उस स्तर तक लेके आती है जिससे कि हम उस प्रॉब्लम को एक उच्च स्तर से देख के उसका सोल्यूशन निकाल सकते हैं, जो कि हमारे जीवन में सेहत हो या कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो, भक्ति के पास उन सब चीज़ों का इलाज है अगर हम उसे सही तरीके से करें तो बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ। हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है विश्वरूप चौधरी जी की तरफ से। ये पूछते हैं, प्रेम कैन नॉट बी अटेन अनलेस वन इज फ्रीड फ्रॉम मटेरियल डिजायर्स। प्रैक्टिसिंग भक्ति लास्ट 10 years but material desires don't go away. प्लीज एडवाइज हाउ टू गेट रिड ऑफ मटेरियल डिजायर्स। तो ये जानना चाहते हैं कि प्रेम तब तक नहीं आता जब तक हम भौतिक आसक्तियों से मुक्त नहीं होते। पिछले 10 साल से भक्ति कर रहे हैं बट अभी तक भौतिक आसक्तियां नहीं जा रही हैं, क्या करना चाहिए?
Practicing devotional service for 10 years, very good. Keep doing. And getting rid of material desires is that you have to actually practice sincerely and seriously. If you chanting offenselessly, attentively, so you try to catch more and more in spiritual thing, and the material thing will automatically, you don't even think that how can I get rid of material desire, how can I get rid of material desire. Think that how can I have desire on Krishna always, how can I have more desire on Krishna. So you get more Krishna desire in you, material desire will go away. So you have to positively think in terms of how can I become more and more Krishna conscious, how can I do something more for Krishna, how can I do different things for Krishna. So if Krishna comes in, material desire will go away. When the sun comes in, darkness goes away. You don't try to remove the darkness and try to bring the brightness. So you bring brightness, darkness will go away. So you have to add more and more in your life Krishna, in terms of activities, in terms of service, in terms of reading, in terms of chanting, all these things you get more and more attached to Krishna. Do more and more for Krishna. Material desire is a natural thing that it will go away automatically. So you need to do more and more sincerely and seriously Krishna consciousness.
तो ये फोकस करते हुए कि हम अपने जीवन से भौतिक आसक्तियां किस तरह से हटा सकते हैं, अगर हम इस चीज पे फोकस करें कि भगवान की सेवा ज्यादा किस तरह से कर सकते हैं, तो खुद ब खुद हमारी भौतिक आसक्तियां चली जाएंगी। तो हमें उस चीज पे फोकस करने से अच्छा भगवान की सेवा पे फोकस करना चाहिए, और थोड़ा और परिश्रम से अगर हम लगे रहेंगे तो ये जरूर पॉसिबल है। तो बढ़ेंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ। हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है तिलक जी की तरफ से। पूछते हैं कि विच फिलॉसफी इज द बेस्ट फिलॉसफी इन ओवरऑल वर्ल्ड। तो जानना चाहते हैं कि कौन सी फिलॉसफी पूरी दुनिया की सबसे अच्छी फिलॉसफी है, और आपसे अच्छा, एंड देयर कैन नॉट बी एनी अदर बेस्ट पर्सन टू आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन आल्सो। वेरी राइट क्वेश्चन टू एप्ट पर्सन।
So in philosophy there is also Western philosophy, Indian philosophy. So Indian philosophy is better than Western philosophy. So in Indian philosophy there is Gnostic and Astic. Astic philosophy is better than Gnostic philosophy. Gnostic philosophy like Buddhism, Jainism, these are all considered Gnostic, because they are, Astic means that which is based upon scriptures, accept the scripture. Gnostic means don't accept the scripture. Gnostic. So within the Astic, there are 6 schools of Indian thought. 6 schools are Nyaya and Vaisheshika. Sankhya and Yoga, Mimamsa and Vedanta. These are 6 schools of Indian. These are all 6 schools of Indian philosophy. If you go to philosophy, study philosophy, they will teach you 6 schools of. So out of these 6 schools of Indian philosophy, that is Astic, that is the best. So among the 6, Vedanta is the best, because Vedanta actually means Ved plus Anta Vedanta, end of knowledge. Veda means knowledge, Anta means end. Vedanta is the end. So within Vedanta, there are so many interpretations. So within Vedanta, Shankaracharya interpreted in the impersonal way, and there are Vaishnava Acharya, they interpret in the personal way. So there is interpretation by Ramanujacharya, Vishishtadvaita, Madhvacharya gave Dvaita, and then Nimbarkacharya, then Vishnu Swami, and finally comes Vedanta. These are all Vedanta, all are based upon Vedanta. So in Vedanta, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave what is known as Achintya Bheda Abheda, simultaneously one and different, the spirit soul and super soul, God, having the qualitative oneness and quantitative difference, and which is inconceivable. This is actually the explanation of Vedanta Sutra, ultimate explanation. There cannot be any other explanation better than this, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He has come and given the interpretation, and that is the best understanding of Vedanta. If we ask what is the best philosophy, the best philosophy is Astic philosophy. In the Astic, Vedanta is the best. In Vedanta, understanding of the Vedanta by Achintya Bheda, Veda Tattva, that is the best, and that is what is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that is what is explained by Srila Prabhupada so nicely in a very common language to every one of us to understand. To understand philosophy, you have to be a Sanskrit. First of all, you have to be a Sanskrit scholar to understand philosophy. Now, with whatever language, Prabhupada is so merciful. Even if somebody doesn't know Sanskrit, doesn't know whatever language he knows, Prabhupada's books are available. Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Russian, Chinese, Arabic, every language. So Prabhupada is so merciful. The ultimate philosophy is available in all languages in the form of Srila Prabhupada's book. So please read Srila Prabhupada's book and be assured that you are reading the best philosophy in the entire creation.
Amazing. That was wonderful. तो जिस तरीके से हम समझते हैं कि जो हम भगवान के बारे में जो हम चैतन्य महाप्रभु से और श्रील प्रभुपाद की किताबों से पढ़ते हैं, वो विश्व की सबसे बढ़िया फिलॉसफी है. अगर हम उसे समझ पाएं तो हम अपने जीवन को सफल बना पाएंगे. तो इसी के साथ समय के अभाव के कारण हम और प्रश्न नहीं ले पाएंगे. मैं आप सबसे माफी चाहूंगा. आप सबके बहुत सारे प्रश्न हैं, बट समय खत्म हो चुका है और हम आपके प्रश्न नहीं ले पाएंगे. So Prabhuji, before going, what would be the final words which you would like to say to our audience present today?
As during the discussion, we mentioned that the human form of life is very rarely achieved. Durlabham Manusha Janma. And that human form of life also, being born in India, is a land of spiritual culture. Every Indian, Prabhupada says he has got some spiritual thing in him. It's in, so to say in the scientific way, DNA. It's in the blood. Because this land is completely spiritualized by different pastimes of the Lord. Lord Krishna appeared in Mathura, performed his pastimes in Dwaraka, and Lord Ramachandra appeared in Ayodhya. He went all the way up to Rameshwaram, Sri Lanka, walked all the way. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in Navadip. He walked all the way to South India. So if you see this land of India, one avatar or the other avatar, they just perform some pastimes. So these are all spiritually surcharged place. We may not know how important it is. Sometimes millionaire's son doesn't know that he is a millionaire's son. In the same way, those who are born in India, this is the land of spiritual culture. Just by being here, even if a person is sleeping outside the temple, some kirtan is coming from the temple, he is benefited actually. And by saying the names are spiritual. Krishna, Rama, Govinda, Gopala, even names of the people, by telling people get benefit. So, being born as a human being, then being born as a human being in India, with all the facility for spiritual culture is there, what it requires is taking little bit seriously the spiritual activity. So if one can actually, because the human form of life is meant for spiritual cultivation. Otherwise, there are 84 lakh species of life. If the purpose is only eating, sleeping, mating, it is there in all other forms of life. In the human form of life, a greatest gift is given to us in the form of able to self-realize, which is not available in any other form of life. So this opportunity of practicing spiritual life in the human form of life that we have got, if one can utilize it to make progress in Krishna consciousness, that is the best thing he can do. Nothing else actually. You can say anything else, it will not be better than this. So we have this opportunity, and we have this wonderful Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself has given. This is the most valuable thing one can get. And our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he meets some dignitary, he said, this is the best thing I can give for my country. So this is the best thing that we can have. So the path of Bhagavad Gita shows us the goal, how we can achieve. The best goal, realizing the self, realizing the God, and the service to God. These are all shown by Bhagavad Gita. So being born as a human being, being born in India, if one can take the path of Gita shown by Lord Krishna, by practicing Krishna consciousness, reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting the holy names, and in this way, if we can cultivate spiritual life, that is the best thing we can do, and we can make progress towards our ultimate goal of spiritual perfection. And that is very, very nice and important. And Srila Prabhupada, as I already said, he has given the book in every language. So if you can get Srila Prabhupada book and read the book, or if you have a center, ISKCON center near to you, if you visit the center, participate in this program, this all will help to make progress in spiritual life, which is very, very, very important for us. And that will be my message to all of you. Thank you very much.
अमेजिंग। अगर आप लोगों के पास इस सब की कोई सुविधा नहीं है तो हमारे स्क्रीन पे दिखाए गए नंबर के ऊपर कॉल करके भी आप भगवत गीता या प्रभुपाद की बुक्स को आप ऑर्डर कर सकते हैं। हम ये आप तक बिना किसी शुल्क के पहुंचाते हैं। तो आप हमारे स्क्रीन पे दिखाए गए नंबर से फ्री होम डिलीवरी के साथ आप इसे भगवत गीता को खरीद सकते हैं। तो इसी के साथ हम इस शो की समाप्ति करेंगे। जाने से पहले हम मुकुंद माधव दास जी को हमारे स्पॉन्सर्स सरल होम जी की तरफ से एक बहुत ही प्यारा सा कुशन गिफ्ट करना चाहेंगे, जो कि मुकुंद माधव जी को पहुंचा दिया जाएगा सरल होम्स की तरफ से। तो थैंक यू सो मच प्रभु जी, यू केम टुडे। थैंक यू सो मच, यू स्पेयर्ड so much of time and answered so many questions and revealed so many learnings from your life. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Biplav, for wonderfully conducting this and helping me with English translation to Hindi. Thank you very much. And I also thank ISKCON Desire Tree, the Hare Krishna TV, for giving me an opportunity to be with you. And I also thank all the viewers. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. तो दर्शकों, आज हमने जाना कि किस तरीके से मुकुंद माधव दास जी के जीवन में एक चीज तो बहुत क्लियर है, ये जीवन कृष्ण के लिए है। और यही चीज समझ के उन्होंने अपने सारे जीवन को कृष्ण को समर्पित कर दिया, अपने टैलेंट को कृष्ण को समर्पित कर दिया। और ये सब का कंक्लूजन ये निकला, उन्हें वो सुख मिला, वो हृदय का सुख मिला जो कि कहीं पे भी उन्हें ना मिलता। तो आज हमने इनके जीवन से जाना कि किस तरीके से हम अपने सारे जीवन में जो सबसे बड़ा धन है जो हम कमा सकते हैं वो कृष्ण भक्ति, और सबसे बड़ी सैटिस्फैक्शन जो हम पा सकते हैं वो कृष्ण की सेवा। तो मैं आशा करता हूं कि आज आपको एक प्रेरणा मिली होगी अपने जीवन में कृष्ण भक्ति को थोड़ा समय देने की और अपने जीवन को सफल बनाने के लिए। आज मैं आपसे आज्ञा चाहूंगा, हम मिलेंगे अगली बार एक और नई कहानी के साथ, एक और नए भक्त के साथ, एक मुलाकात कृष्ण भक्त के साथ। Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. Hare Krishna.